Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast. But either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 3, Episode 11 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Now let's continue the story. Y'all, the time is now March 29th, 2022. Kendall and I went to the home game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Sixers legend, NBA champion, now NBA Hall of Famer, Bobby Jones rang the bell. And as y'all know, Bobby Jones is one of my favorites. I love him. Just seeing Bobby Jones again gave me all the feels, y'all. Obviously, he was an older player now, but he just took me back to a time and place in my childhood when I first fell in love with our Philadelphia 76ers. And while it was an exciting game, we still came up short. We lost that game by 2 points, 118 to 116. We were still competitive. James Harden had 32 points, Joel Embiid had 29 points, and Tobias Harris had 22 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 40 points on us, and y'all know that pissed me off because, remember, at this point, I still hadn't forgiven Giannis for sitting on our Sixers logo after we had lost to the Bucks just a few seasons prior. So, the last thing I wanted to see was Giannis out there showboating. I just wanted to get over this loss and get ready for the next game. In 2 days, we had to face the Detroit Pistons. Our final games of the season were Detroit, Charlotte, Cleveland, Indiana, Toronto, Indiana again, and Detroit again. At the time, I noted we should go 6-1 in this final regular season stretch, only losing to the Toronto Raptors, who was a tough competitor at the top of the standings. On March 31st, we lost to the Detroit Pistons 102 to 94. We had now lost 3 games in a row. I was disappointed because I always believed the team that wants it the most usually wins. And the way we played that game, it looked like we didn't want it. We were in a slump, and we needed to figure it out before we went into the postseason. I wanted us to finish strong and carry that momentum into the playoffs. We had to address our issues, and honestly, my biggest concern was our bench. On April 2nd, Kendall and I attended the home game against the Charlotte Hornets. It was also Franklin's birthday, our adorable team mascot. A lot of the NBA mascots from around the league were there to celebrate Franklin. During the halftime performance, Franklin did a skit to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. He reenacted the opener to the popular sitcom. Then, when the music dropped, when they got to the part where he sings, "To sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel-Air," well, y'all, Franklin walked up to the Memphis Grizzlies mascot and slapped him across the face. We were dying because we were not expecting that. I just thought it was a tribute to Will Smith being from Philadelphia with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. Franklin had spoofed the video that we had all seen 1,000 times, the one of Will Smith smacking Chris Rock at the Oscars that occurred only a week or so prior. Y'all, we ended up blowing out the Charlotte Hornets 114 to 144. Joel Embiid at 29 points, Tobias Harris at 23. The following night, we had a back-to-back game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We were up by only 3 points, 109 to 106, with 11.2 seconds left when Kevin Love from the Cavaliers made a sloppy inbounds pass that was stolen by our Matisse Thybulle, who made a pass while sitting on the floor to a running Tobias Harris for a dunk that sealed the game. Matisse! And y'all, even though Matisse only had 4 points, that steal was huge. We won by 4 points, 112 to 108. Y'all, Joel Embiid had 44 points, 17 rebounds. Incredible. And with that win, y'all, our Philadelphia 76ers had clinched the playoff berth. On April 5th, we went on to beat the Indiana Pacers in Indiana 131 to 122. Joel Embiid had 45 points, y'all, 13 rebounds. Now listen, it didn't matter which team you rooted for in the NBA, we could all agree that Joel Embiid's stats were ridiculous. But then, y'all, the very next day, on April 6th, Dr. J, Julius Erving, made the comment that circulated quickly around the league. Dr. J said, quote, "Jokic is the NBA MVP, not Embiid," referring to Nikola Jokic with the Denver Nuggets. I was like, come on, Doc. Now, why the hell would you say something stupid like this? Even if you believed it. And I questioned the timing of it all. Like, why say this right before we're about to go into the playoffs? Like, was he trying to sway the voters who voted for the league MVP at the end of the season? I didn't know. Y'all, let's face it, Julius Erving is well respected, and anything that he says carries a lot of weight. Y'all, I was crushed because everyone looks up to Dr. J. Everyone admires. He's a legend. And I made the comment on social media that said, "This just breaks my heart. Everyone has a right to their opinion. I just wish Dr. J kept his to himself. Embiid is most deserving for MVP because without him, the Sixers are irrelevant. Hell, I thought he should have won last season. Other than scheduled rest games and when he was out with COVID, he's played every game this season. To have a legend from your own franchise publicly say another player from another team is deserving over you after all that you have given is a slap in the face." I couldn't believe Dr. J said that. That comment really pissed me off. And honestly, y'all, it made me feel some kind of way about Dr. J. Yes, he's an NBA legend. Yes, I love Dr. J. But at that time, it just made me question his motives. Then the next day, on April 7th, we lost to the Toronto Raptors in Toronto 114 to 119. Joel Embiid, y'all, once again had another double-double, 30 points and 10 rebounds. That was a tough loss because it was one of those games where I felt like we could have snuck out a win. And get this, Danny Green had 18 points that game. He was one of our older players, and let me tell you something, even though he didn't move very fast, he could shoot the lights out. And because he moved so slow, it made him a liability on defense. And that's what frustrated me watching Danny Green. And I remember making a Facebook post during this game that read, "I'm pretty sure I can run faster than Danny Green." I just couldn't believe he was moving that slow. And then I added, I had us losing this game, but it still felt like a winnable game. We had it right there. It was a missed opportunity. Then, y'all, on April 9th, we beat the Indiana Pacers at home, 120 to 133. Joel Embiid had another double-double. Y'all, this time, 41 points and 20 rebounds. That's crazy. Courtside Buzz reported breaking news. Joel Embiid has officially won the 2021-2022 scoring title as he averaged 30.6 points per game and 33.8 minutes per game. He's the first center to win it since Shaquille O'Neal in 2000. He's the first international player to win it. He's the first center with 30 points per game playing under 40 minutes per game. He's the first center to average 30-plus points per game since Moses Malone. Y'all, we had to clap it up and be excited about Joel Embiid. Those stats are crazy, especially for a big man. Now, how could Dr. J not see this extraordinary talent? Come on! On April 10th, Joel Embiid rested. He deserved it, y'all. And we still managed to beat the Detroit Pistons at home for the final game of the season. The score was 106-118. Shake Milton had 30 points. Tyrese Maxey and B-Ball Paul each had 25 points. Y'all, this was awesome. We finished the regular season with a win and placed fourth in the Eastern Conference standings. Our record was 51-31 for the regular season. I was ready and excited for the playoffs. To end the season with the win, I felt like our team was ready. We had the best player in the league, Joel, Hans, the process, MVP, Embiid. I was also thinking about the best path to a championship. Do we want to play the Toronto Raptors without Matisse and then the Miami Heat in the second round? Or should we play the Chicago Bulls and then the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round? I was nervous about facing the Raptors in the first round because that meant we'd have to play the games in Toronto without Matisse Thybulle. See, because Matisse wasn't fully vaccinated, it made him ineligible to enter Canada under the country's border regulations at that time. On January 15, 2022, Canada required all travelers, including professional athletes, to be fully vaccinated to enter the country. Matisse had revealed that he had one dose of the Pfizer vaccine, but he chose not to complete the full vaccination series. So for me, it was kind of like he got halfway in it and then backed out. He didn't fully commit one way or the other, but one thing was for sure. We needed Matisse Thybulle. Now, he didn't put a lot of points on the board, but we needed his defense. Matisse Thybulle was guaranteed to get you a steal or two every single game. Just his defensive presence on the floor made the opponents play differently. My thought is, it's his right to do what he wanted with his body. However, the backlash was that this decision could negatively impact our chances of advancing in the playoffs. Also, how did the teammates view him? I'm sure many players throughout the league may have been reluctant to take the vaccine, but literally took one for the team. I was nervous. I wasn't sure how it was going to play out. It also depended on the outcome of the other games to determine the playoff standings. I paid close attention to the Boston Celtics Memphis Grizzlies game. When Boston got up by almost 30 points, I was like, yep, it looks like we'll be playing the Toronto Raptors. And I accepted that. I made a social media post @Sixers. Thank you, fellas, for a wonderful regular season. I'm so proud of this team. We're not finished. Rest up and let's get ready for the Raptors. #Sixers, #clap your hands, #play the song. Yep, it was official. Our first-round playoff opponent, the 5th seed Toronto Raptors. The good news, we had home court advantage. Amy Fadul from NBC Sports Philadelphia posted the playoff schedule. Game 1 for the Sixers-Raptors will be Saturday, April 16th at 6 p.m. at the Wells Fargo Center. Watch the game as well as pregame and postgame on NBC Sports Philadelphia. See you Saturday. Playoffs are here. Y'all, this was the series schedule. Game 1 and 2 would be at home in Philadelphia. Game 3 and 4 would be in Toronto. Game 5, if necessary, would be in Philadelphia. Game 6, if necessary, would be in Toronto. And Game 7, if necessary, would be in Philadelphia. So basically, this 7-game series started at home and went 2-2, 1-1-1. On April 13th, 97.5 The Fanatic aired their live show at Workhouse Brewing Company in King of Prussia. Y'all, it is literally 6 minutes from my home. They also announced the first 50 guests would receive a blue Fanatics t-shirt with "Play the Song" across the front. Y'all, I was like number 10 in line. I met up with my cousin Karen, some other Sixers friends, and we just enjoyed some drinks, some appetizers, while listening to the hosts talk Sixers. It was great because I was locked in to 97.5 The Fanatic 24/7. And instead of tuning into the radio, it was nice to be there in person to listen to the live broadcast with all the other Sixers fans. It was a beautiful, sun-shining spring day, and it really was a nice event sponsored by 97.5 The Fanatic. I got to take selfies with all the radio hosts: Mike Missinelli, Tyrone Johnson, Jennifer Scordo, Anthony Gargano, Devon Givens, even Keith Pompey, the Sixers beat writer from the Philadelphia Inquirer. And I even got to meet a lot of the other faithful listeners. Remember Vicente from the Mikey Miss Show? There was so much buzz and excitement around our Sixers going to the playoffs. For the first time in a long time, we had a legit roster. Then, y'all, on April 15th, a team photo was posted of our playoffs-bound Sixers. The roster included Charles Bassey, DeAndre Jordan, Joel Embiid, B-Ball Paul, Tobias Harris, Bang Bang George Niang, Furkan Korkmaz, Matisse Thybulle, Isaiah Joe, James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Danny Green, and Shake Milton. I added my comment under the photo that read, "I feel like a proud mom on school picture day. This is my team. I am so proud of our guys." I really did love this roster. Y'all, now looking at this team photo, there is no reason, with all of this talent, that we did not win multiple championships. This was a great group of guys. That evening, I got ready for bed, knowing that the following day would be round 1, game 1 of the 2022 NBA playoffs. I wanted to get a good night's sleep so that I could be well rested for our big day. I felt like a kid on Christmas Eve with butterflies in my stomach, tossing and turning, just waiting for the sun to come up. It was finally morning. I hopped right out of bed. I could already tell it was the start of a great day. I had my coffee, got some breakfast, and then I got dressed. I put on my blue number 21 Joel Embiid jersey with Phila across the front. I threw on some black leggings that stopped right above my ankles, and because the weather was nice, I wore my blue flip-flops with the silver rhinestones across the strap. I grabbed my favorite white sunglasses with the blue mirror lens. I had to make sure my dog Murphy was good, so I took him on a good walk, and then I locked up my house. I sat in my car, and before I pulled off to pick up my cousin Keandra, who was going with me to the game, I decided to post a quick video to all the Sixers fans. I started off with my signature Sixers fans, I said, not only are we going to win today, but we are going to win the series. Joel Embiid is going to continue to dominate like he had the entire regular season. I mentioned James Harden being the difference maker, that Daryl Morey brought Harden here to Philadelphia to help us get over the playoff hump. James Harden had achieved a lot. He broke NBA records, but winning a championship was still a box left unchecked. I predicted Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris also having standout games. Maybe they'd alternate back and forth between games throughout the series to balance the load. And then I added another player who may surprise us and show up big in the series, and that is Danny Green. Yes, the same Danny Green who I said was our aging player, who I could beat in a race because he looked like he was moving so slow out there on the floor. And I did note that Danny Green didn't necessarily have a great regular season. However, he did play on 3 championship teams in his career: the San Antonio Spurs, the Los Angeles Lakers, and yes, the Toronto Raptors. My thought was he should be familiar with Scotiabank Arena, the floor, the fans, after spending so much time in Toronto winning a championship. So yes, I believe Danny Green's leadership and veteran presence, alongside James Harden, would be crucial in helping our young, inexperienced guys get over the hump in the playoffs. These are the things that made me believe that we had the edge. Now, make no question about it, it wasn't going to be easy. This was going to be a competitive series. But at the end of the day, we still had the best 2 players in the series, Joel Embiid and James Harden. I felt really confident. I also mentioned Joel Embiid may still be haunted by that quadruple doink when we lost to the Raptors in 2019. He didn't want to experience that feeling again. I still remember seeing Embiid crying, walking off the court, and into the arms of his girlfriend at the time in the team tunnel. Crying Embiid has become a meme. I thought, there is no way Joel is going to let us down. He is going to carry this team on his back. Y'all, the talent was there. We just needed Doc Rivers to be smart and outcoach the Toronto Raptors coach at the time, Nick Nurse. Yes, the same Nick Nurse that we ended up getting. But okay, at the time, he was coaching the Toronto Raptors. My prediction at the end of my video, Sixers in 5. I said, we'll win both games in Philly, we'll steal one of the 2 games in Toronto, and then we'll close it out at home for Game 5. What I didn't want was to go back to Toronto, especially without Matisse Thybulle, and I definitely did not want to force a Game 7. Hell no. I knew we struggled to win at home during the regular season, but the playoffs is completely different. Philly fans, especially Sixers fans like myself, we have been waiting for this moment. It's go time. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And join me next time as we continue the story.